Now, on a more positive note, Daniel, you had a solo review.
Yes, I watched the first season of Gravity Falls, which I've been meaning to watch it for a while, but I just hadn't gotten around to it. Um, and it seemed like at least from what DB was telling me that it was one of the few good shows with the CalArts quote unquote animation style. Uh, and sorry. Um, yeah, and so I thought it's on Disney Plus, so I thought I'd give it a watch. And yeah, I mean uh, it's a good little show. I mean, it has it's got characters that are not cringy and annoying, which is always good because that tends to happen a lot with modern shows. Um, and I will say I definitely identified quite a bit with Dipper. Um,
Yeah, he's a very good main character.
yeah. I mean, I was actually quite a bit like him when I was his age. Just very very kind of little insecure, a little unsure of myself, but just having to kind of buck up and actually do something with myself rather than just being a kind of you know being scared all the time. And of course, and I gotta give a shout out to the twin sister Mabel, who was voiced by the same Kristen Shaw, who was the voice of what was her name on Bob's Burgers, uh the girl with the bunny ears. um
What was her name? It's been so long since I watched it. Um, Bob's Burger.
Tina's the older daughter with
Right.
she's the pervert.
Yes. Touch butts. Louise. Yeah, and
Louise.
she's playing a very similar character to Louise.
Yeah, very very similar. Yeah, only not quite as sociopathic.
Right. Mabel
uh
is just out to lunch, or she's very silly, very optimistic, but you get the impression that that optimism is like a bubble of denial.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and yeah, so like the overall premise of the show is Dipper and Mabel are their parents send them off to Gravity Falls, Oregon, which I'm assuming is not a real town. Um,
Correct.
yeah. And so to stay with their great uncle Stan, who runs a little tourist trap called the Mystery Shack, where he's just got a bunch of mysterious and quirky, odd stuff that's really not quirky and odd. It's just it's just stuff that he made up. And he's got the his two employees, Zeus, who not the brightest bulb, but he has a good heart.
It's actually Sus because it's short for Jesus.
Oh, okay. Um, and then Wendy, who's the teenage girl who works there, and then unsurprisingly, prepubescent Dipper has a crush on her, which again,
On the
yeah,
cool tomboy redhead.
yeah, the cool,
Shocking.
yeah, shocking. Which again had something similar to that when I was around his age. I think most guys probably did. Um, and so Dipper finds a journal. It's just a hand with six fingers on it with the number 3. You see that in the poster, and it has like it's whoever wrote the journal. Which of course I haven't watched season 2 yet, so I don't know. I don't know all the secrets of everything, but it has all of the whoever wrote this journal has all the like the different magical creatures that live in around Gravity Falls. Like the first episode they encounter gnomes, and they want to marry Mabel and make her so that she can be their queen. um Yeah, and they encounter all these different other various creatures, and the main rival, or the main kind of like villain of the first season, is this little kid named Gideon, who he's a psychic, um, and has this like one of those like tent shows, and he really wants he's trying to get the mystery shack from Stan, and of course he fails at every attempt, and Stan of course Stan doesn't, he doesn't buy all this, the magical stuff. He's like, it's all a bunch of nonsense. And but at the end of the first episode, you see him like, open, like the vending machine opens up and he goes into an elevator, and you're like, what's that all about?
Yeah, this is like it's like Twin Peaks for kids.
Yeah.
With a bit more whimsical supernaturalness.
Yes, and not quite as complicated. And but yeah, I mean, it's a fun show. And it's like I said, it's one of the few shows that, and I agree with DB, it's one of the few good shows with this animation style, because I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of it. It just kind of seems cheap to me. But
guess
parts
what?
of
It is.
it is, yeah. But I mean, parts of it, I mean, it works in certain areas, and they do a fair amount of CG animation, which looks pretty good. Not
Especially for a 10-year-old show.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I'll definitely tune into season 2, and then yeah, and but yeah, it's a fun show, and if you haven't watched it yet, I mean, it's on Disney Plus. So and I think you could probably get or if you don't want to do that, I think Shout Factory is selling the series on Blu-ray and DVD. So
Yeah, I picked it up a while back just to have in my reserve. Yeah, I'll say this is probably the most recent non-adult Western animation that I really loved. I should say mainstream. That's a lot of caveats, but
yeah,
there are parts of the show that still live in my head rent free. Like remember when they met that secret president of the United States who gave him a negative $2 bill? Wow, this is worthless. Less than worthless.
yeah. Yeah, he was the eight and a half president.
And now I don't know if I mentioned this or if you saw this elsewhere, but one of the creators on the show was half of the brothers Chaps who had worked on Homestar Runner, which explains a lot of the sensibilities of it.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed that. Yeah.
Weirdly enough, like he did some voices for it, but he never did any of the classic Homestar character voices, which makes me wonder if it was the brothers. So the way the brothers Chaps worked is that one did the writing and one did the animation and one did the voices. So I wonder if it was the one who did the animation who got the gig.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't hear any Homestar Runner or Strong Bad.
That's your other things that stand out to me as I think back on this show after 10 years since I watched it. Let's see. It just has a nice little bit of whimsy, and also, did you hear the voice of Morty all over the place?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Justin Roiland. Yeah, he pops up in one episode as a time traveler, and he's just like Morty. And then he also voices like a lot of like the commercials. The hey, do you need something to hold your baby? Well, here's a baby carrier, and like that, like, oh, that's just Justin Roiland.
Yeah. So yeah, and I'll say that the second season does stick the landing. And what I'll also say is that supposedly they were actually asked if they wanted to make a movie or something, and they said no, the series is over. I can always respect a creative team who does what they achieve and doesn't stretch things out.
Yeah, they're not looking for a payday. They just they told the story, and that's it. Move on. Yeah.
The other thing, I think this was a second season one. Did you see an episode where they did a body swap thing?
Oh yeah, yeah, with the carpet. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I think one of the funnier things there is that it is probably the most realistic take on what would happen if you were body swapped with somebody, which isn't, you know, nothing weird, nothing like, oh, I could, if I look like Mabel, I can go and sneak into such and such or whatever.
Yeah.
It was just like constant screaming and body horror.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 and they well, yeah, the whole episode was that they found that secret room with the carpet, and Mabel and Dipper were competing over who could get the room with Stan, competing with Stan on it.
It occurs to me we did kind of brush over Grunkle Stan, who is a highlight of the show.
Oh
He's an
yeah,
old curmudgeonly guy, has a gravelly New York voice or New East Coast voice of some sort, like a
yeah,
carnival barker. And it's funny because it is a world where there are clearly supernatural things, but he just makes up crap to display.
yeah,
Like I'm gonna make up something here. I think there was a bit where he was making jackalopes and he was like gluing multiple horns onto one. It's like it's an ultra jackalope or something like that.
yeah,
It was something like that. It's been a while.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, or the unicorn made entirely out of corn. Ooh.
Yeah, the townspeople are not portrayed as particularly bright.
Right, yeah, yeah, yeah. You had you had like the old curmudgeon who just like builds robots. Yeah, or the two cops who are obviously in a relationship.
Yeah, they weren't ever allowed to say it out explicitly, but the creators have said, yeah, those two were in a relationship.
Yeah, and there are a couple of moments there where it's like, okay, yeah, that's pretty obvious.
This is beyond Lenny and Carl.
Oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun show to watch. Yeah.